there's,
No,
no,
that's not it.
that's the bid sheet.
It's on the back of the sign sheet. The sheet that you sign. There you
Here
go.
it is.
Oh, okay, we got both that. Gotcha. All right, under blight elimination claims, we've got, looks like some fees for the courthouse, recorder fees, auditor fee, treasurer fee, totaling $349.20. And this is for 11 South Huntington. And it looks like a list of other addresses. 117 South Fremont, 186 West 7th, 378 East Main, 113 West 8th, 68 South Clay, 118 East 9th, 63 West 3rd, 465 Monroe, and then the 11 South Huntington. So, getting some paperwork filed for there. And we got a chance to see that. Is there any questions from the board on the blight elimination claims?
Any questions we should be asking?
We have our blood elimination expert with us tonight, Brenda Douglas,
I wouldn't say expert, but
resident expert.
we had acquired the deed to all those properties, and we just got approval from the IHCDA to accept those properties onto the blight. So now that we have the official okay, we're transferring them to the 501c3, which is Makita, who will actually hold the property until after demolition. So that's how those fees incurred.
Great.
Any other questions from the board?
No, thank you, Brenda, for all your hard work, though.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Is there any questions from the public? Do I have a motion to accept the payment of the blight elimination claims?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next, we have the city's regular APVs. And I believe we have a total of $330,607.16 for this pay period of claims being paid. Got a new truck for animal control, paid Rediscover Downtown Peru. We're getting their check.
Squad car?
Yes, payments on some squad cars, some insurance, and that was most of the big stuff. I don't know if there's anything else, Tish?
Nothing to speak of, really.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions, comment from the public? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the payment of the claims?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next, we have the city attorney's report. We do have some stuff, I believe, tonight.
Yes, and what I was going to propose to the board is that we enter an engagement with, it'd be Taft, Stenettis, Hollister, LLP, and the law firm that is going to be handling a large matter against several opioid manufacturers and distributors.
And we do have, Jewel was able to make it, I believe, an associate.
Okay, yes. If you want to speak then.
Okay. You want-
Yeah, go ahead. If you want to explain
Mr. Lee, you
a
want
little better.
to introduce yourself and,
Is there any certain place that you need me to stand?
Right in front of the cookies.
Give him my.
okay.
I'll take a cookie.
Dave, Dave in the back, he's got a mic, he can give it to you, and, yeah, if you want to stand up here, that'd be
Normally
great.
we have a podium, but we decorated today.
Understood. My name is Jewel Lee. I'm with Taft Law. This is my colleague Manny Hersig. We're part of a consortium that is representing different municipalities across the country against distributors and manufacturers of opioids for the epidemic that we're seeing across the country. Indiana is one of the hardest hit areas, and you will see it through every layer of your society. There are no socioeconomic boundaries on this. It doesn't care if you're rich, it doesn't care if you're poor, it doesn't care if you're black or you're white. The addiction is non-discriminatory. And it is not an easy fix to it. The governor has made it very clear that the opioid epidemic is a major concern for the state. But the fact of the matter is, as in most situations, it's going to be left to the locals to really come up with a plan to clean this up. The action, I don't want to get into too great a detail in the action itself, just since this is an open meeting, we don't want to give out litigation strategies and things of that nature. But what we're looking to do is get recovery for both hard damages, which are going to be the cost of your law enforcement and first responders going out there, the possible bad claims that you have for your EMS runs, the possible health insurance claims that you'll have for, as a self-funded insurance policy. And then you're going to have the proactive kind of fuzzier damages, which is going to be how are you going to abate the problem? You're going to need funds to fix the problem. It's going to take education, it's going to take treatment, it's going to take additional law enforcement, it's going to take a lot of different aspects. And as you know, here in Peru, Mayor, just speaking with you earlier about how these pill farms have kind of popped up and the effect that they can have on your community, as well as just the regular prescriptions of opioids to individuals. So I'd be happy to answer any additional questions. We brought a copy of the engagement letter with us, a clean copy, which we'll present. One thing I do want to point out is almost immediately after our meeting the other day to discuss this, we had a conference call with the entire consortium, and we're at the point in which we have so many people that we are representing that we're able to lower our contingency fee rate. So instead of the 30%, we're looking at 25% now. So this is a little bit different than what I had sent you earlier, just in that it reflects a 25% contingency fee. So there would be no upfront cash outlays from the city of Peru, but as we discussed, it may take some time from your staff to pull some data for us when we get to that point.
Right. And that's a good leeway into Antonia Sawyer and Deb Wallach from the Systems of Care
Governance, yes.
Sorry, Systems of Care Governance Coalition and the United Way, and they've been very supportive of this. I don't know if you guys wanted to say anything.
No, thank you. Hello, I'm Antonia Sawyer. I'm the local systems coordinator here in Miami County, and over the last about 19 months, I have been privileged to work here in Miami County, pull together a huge coalition full of our stakeholders, leaders, and community members, and our main focus is substance abuse and mental health treatment and recovery. Meeting with Mr. Lee and his colleagues, I couldn't be more excited about the potential to have hope for our community, for the individuals suffering from addiction, from the families with individuals suffering from addiction. All our community resources are strained. All of our time is strained. It affects every system from child care to the hospitals to the first responders to the Salvation Army, the United Way. And so I really can't express enough how important this would be for our community. I know that there's no promise to anyone. This could take a lot of time, but we have nothing to lose and we have all to gain. And I think the family members who have lost individuals to addiction, who have lost just the loves of their life, their kids, this would be a huge step in the right direction for them. I work with these families every day. I wipe their tears. I distribute naloxone almost daily to individuals. We've given out almost 400 doses in the last 4 months. That's between residents, organizations are now carrying naloxone, that's for first responding agencies, and this is at a cost. And whether we get $5, $5,000, $5 million, 50 cents, that's better than nothing. And so I really just, speaking from my heart, I just can't express how important this would be for us.
I'm Debbie Wallach, I'm the United Way Director, and kudos to everything that you just said, but I am really excited to be able to partner with you and be part of the city. One of the things that we're doing is we've already started taking the steps of hiring an AmeriCorps volunteer, and with that, we're going to do community conversations on the opiate crisis. So this is just maybe to even help this along, so to be able to partner with you and tag along and ask those community conversations with stakeholders in the community, we're fortunate to be able to partner with you with that.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
If there's any questions from the board or the public, we'd be happy to answer those at this time.
Okay. You want to add anything, Dustin? Or?
I would give my favorable recommendation to the board. I mean, it's nothing, we would never be able to take on some kind of undertaking without outside help. So we would never be able to do this on our own.
No. And we'll be asking for permission, because I know we talked earlier about you may want to do some more due diligence before signing. You still want to go
Yes,
that route
it's,
tonight?
Yeah, we asked for permission to enter the engagement with them at 25% contingency fee. Doesn't mean we have to at this point, but we still want to look into it just a little bit more, but just the permission to be able to do so.
Is there any questions from the board for any of our guests? Any question, comment from the public? Okay. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm sorry, would you phrase how you'd like the motion for me?
A motion to allow the city to enter into an engagement agreement with TAF, is it? Stettinius and Hollister LLP for representation for the opioid civil matter.
Okay. Do I have a motion to reflect that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you guys making your way up to speak to us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else, Dustin, on the city attorney's report?
It'll be a big day for the building department tomorrow. We have quite a few unsafe buildings to go through the Board of Building Appeals tomorrow, so, and that starts at 1.
Gotcha. Yep. All right. So I guess that will move us into old business. I don't believe we have any old business. So then we'll move on to new business. The first thing we have is Carrie Young with a pavilion request for use Riverwalk for the Relay for Life on April 28th.
We actually have 2 dates.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
April the 28th is the Miami County Relay for Life. It's our 5K that we're going to do.
Mhm.
We'll only need it for just a few hours in the morning just to use the actual walkway, just to have the 5K. And then May 19th is our actual Relay for Life, which will start like at 7 in the morning and go until like 10 or 11 at night.
You need tear down time after in the evening.
We should be done by the luminaria ceremonies at 9:30, so we should be okay between 10 and 10:30.
Okay.
How much of the walkway are you using this year for the second part?
For the May 19th, it'll just be the small portion again from like the pavilion on the other side of the fort down to probably the Riverwalk, or to the Riverview Event Center.
Okay.
Just that area right there.
All right. Is there questions from the board?
It's pretty standard, same as every year.
Yeah, it is.
Can we vote on both of these with one
I believe
motion?
so.
Do we have to separate them?
I was just going to do it in one motion.
Is that cool?
That's fine.
Our chiefs, do we have any comment or concern?
Do a great job, no issues last year or any prior years, so.
Okay. All right. Is there any comment from the public? Okay. All right, then do I have a motion to accept it's Relay for Life? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to accept Relay for Life's request for use of the Riverwalk?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you, Carrie, for heading that up. All right, next we have Chief Meeks has a request for promotion of James Ullery.
I think he switched it off.
I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to come up here and address them concerning a promotion for James Ullery. I'd like to go ahead and read the letter that I submitted to the Board of Works. I'd like to submit for your approval the request to promote Patrolman James J. Ullery to the rank of Sergeant. Officer Ullery has been an officer with the Peru Police Department for over 11 years. During his 2 years since his return, Officer Ullery has worked all 3 shifts within our department. He's also worked in investigation and is currently part of our drug task force. During his time at the Peru Police Department, I have personally observed Officer Ulrey and his leadership qualities. Although he has not held rank or been in a supervisory position with the department before, I've witnessed Officer Ulrey taking a leadership role, especially when working with our newest officers. I have full confidence that Officer Ulrey will continue to excel and strive relentlessly to help serve the citizens of Peru. If approved, I would like for this promotion to take effect on April 3rd, and I thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. And just some side notes on that too. Officer Ulrey is perhaps our most beloved police officer in Peru, quite honestly. I mean, I think, I'll open the mic. If anybody has anything bad to say about him here, I challenge you, but I don't think you're going to find anybody who'll say anything. When I'm working the street and I talk to the public, and I've personally seen, obviously, with working him for 11 years, he does an outstanding job, and we couldn't be more proud of his performance, whether it's that or just talking to a citizen on the telephone, whatever it may be. And one time I had somebody say something that they liked about me. I'm going to put a little plug in for myself. Is they said, what I like about you is that, and I feel the same way about Josh, is that it doesn't matter if you're dealing with the President of the United States or someone who has nothing in their life, you treat them exactly the same. And I can say that without a doubt. That's how Josh treats our citizens, and I think you can't ask for more out of a police officer. I will put in one more thing, though, too. This is a rank to sergeant, and I'm glad his daughter's here, because his daughter is a captain on the school patrol at Peru Point. And when she received that promotion, she said, guess what, Dad, I'm now a captain and you're still a patrolman. So I felt a little pressure to start getting him promoted a little bit. Right. So we're making strides, kiddo, so give Dad a little break tonight if you would, okay? But anyways, Josh, I'd like to go ahead and present you with your sergeant badge, if I could, please.
I want to say something.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we have punch and cookies. I want to thank Diana back there for preparing that for us and leaving this in line for us. But after the meeting, there's a couple more things on the agenda, but you're welcome to join us.
Can we go ahead and finish this one?
If they
vote.
approve this promotion.
Right. Let's go ahead and formalize what the chief is there.
I think Officer Ulrey would like to say something.
Yeah. Josh, would you like to, Mr. Ulrey?
Vote first.
Yeah, you might want to go that route.
Did we have any comment from the board?
Well,
Let's see here.
no, I've heard nothing but good things as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything from the public?
Congratulations.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Do I have a motion to accept the promotion of Josh Ulrey?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
I just want to say thanks to everybody. It's truly a privilege of serving the community here in town. I left after just under 10 years and went to the railroad, and it wasn't my cup of tea. I have wonderful kids and a wonderful wife, and they backed me 100% to coming back. And I really, truly love serving this community. It's the community I grew up in, down on West 3rd Street, Holman Elementary, where I went to school, then Blair Point, then the high school. I've been here my whole entire life, and I don't plan on leaving. Thank you again for allowing me to come back.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
back.
I could say it's been a pleasure working with Josh, and I'm glad to have him. I'm glad he came back. So, is there anything else?
Hey, Gabe, our mayor, should that motion have been for James J. Ulrey instead of Josh Ulrey? It's technical.
What did I say?
You approved of
You just
Josh.
threw around Josh. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. James. I'm sorry.
It threw me off.
Well, I mean, if you want to.
We all know who he is, but yeah.
Okay. Well, now I feel embarrassed.
We got
No,
Who doesn't know him as Josh?
right. Yeah. No, I think we're fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So next we have the bids for demolition of 165 East 5th. Big day for...
If I may, I'd like to ask, we had someone call in today to get on the agenda another citizen, Vincent Edmonds, has a request. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to let him go first before we get to this. And I saw him here, so you can get up and explain.
All right, Vincent, would you like to talk to us about whatever you're going to talk to us about?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Trish. Last year, we presented before you the proposal for an Easter parade. And we had a very successful event last year, and we are asking that we might be able to host our Easter parade on Easter Sunday, April 1st, again this year, closing on 5th Street and Court Street.
And we did this last year, is that right?
We did. We had almost 400 people attend.
That's right, I went.
This year, we are extremely excited, and I'd love to share with you a certificate that we have been providing for. That's just one example of a certificate that we've shared with over 400 sixth graders in our life skills program. And so each of those students will have a personal invitation to the Easter parade. We are very excited about the work that we're doing in the area of prevention, substance abuse prevention, and we decide to continue that. The Easter parade was a very good opportunity for us to introduce prevention in Miami County, and we'd just like to continue with the second year, if that's possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you said how many students participated?
There will be 407 students in all three school systems that are participating in the life skills program, and they will be receiving that certificate. We have a little over 300 that have already received their training. It's a 15-week training, and so the certificate sort of represents some of the life skills that they've learned over that 15-week course. And Macomb is the next school system to host their celebration, which will be in May.
Gotcha. And the Easter parade is focused around prevention, and you can speak on that a little bit, like what the focus of the parade is.
Yeah, well, the focus of the parade really is just to celebrate Easter. It's an opportunity for families to come out and just celebrate the day. There will be all kinds of games, activities, music, dance contests. And so it's really an opportunity to sort of introduce again to Miami County residents the importance of prevention.
Gotcha.
So all of us brush our teeth. That's an area of prevention. School bus drivers, snowplow drivers practice prevention in their work. And so we really just want residents to understand the role and the impact that being positive has on careers. And so the coalition itself is founded on prevention, and we just are looking for opportunities and events that we can spread that message.
Yeah. I think last year when I was attending, there was a woman that said that Peru used to do Easter parades. She remember doing them when she was a girl here in Peru. I didn't realize that was something we used to do, but I know she said she was glad to see us taking on that tradition again and having people come out and come together on Easter Sunday. So
it was a great day, the weather permitted.
Right.
A good time for all. We'd just like to replicate that.
Is there any questions from the board for Mr. Edmonds?
Now, Court Street, that wouldn't be our approval, that would be the commissioner's, correct?
We are on their schedule for Monday morning.
So you're just asking for permission for 5th Street?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Any question, comment from the public? Yeah, Jan?
Oh, you said coalition. Could you explain what that is? Sitting here, I don't know.
A coalition?
What you're doing.
Sure. The YMCA received a state grant through the Department of DMHA, and through that grant, the YMCA is implementing a series of programs. One of the programs is called Team Awareness. It's for employers. One of the programs is called Life Skills. One of the programs is called Al's Pals. And all of these programs really are designed for young kids through adults to be able to identify best practices in substance abuse prevention. And so, unlike the treatment side, where there are counselors involved, this is really an effort of encouragement. And so it's using best practices and just being positive to curb
I think we need to really promote this more, because this is something like I thought needed to be done for a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Is there any other questions or comment?
Daylight only.
Daylight, 3 p.m. to 5. So after you've had a chance to, do your church services on Easter Sunday.
I'm thinking about barricades.
Well, the city supplied barricades last year. of course.
Right, yeah.
We did. We're hoping the same.
Any other questions? Public safety chiefs, any comment or concern? Okay. All right. And you said 3 to 5?
3 to 5 on Sunday.
Okay.
April 1st.
Okay. And Todd will have that for you, take care of you. Do I have a motion from the board?
So moved. You want to make a motion first?
To accept it? So moved. Do you have a second?
Okay, so what has happened so far?
A motion to
approve the
approve-
request
Yes.
was seconded?
That was first.
Firsted?
Yeah. Made, now need a second.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All right. Sorry, I'll try to be cleaner with this tomorrow. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you.
All right, next, I think we have our demolition bids.
Yes.
And Tish has bids for the demolition of 165 East 5th Street.
This demolition is through our unsafe building fund and not the blight elimination, so I just thought I'd clarify that.
Did you
We
see
did
this?
receive
This
4
is-
bids.
These are the pictures of that building.
On the house, so I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't see this part though. That's great.
Well, how about that? And how insane is that?
Brenda, we don't have our fancy little sheet where you can go through and write our stuff in.
I brought it up there. I brought you 2. I had to have one for myself,
Oh.
so.
There.
This one only got one. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the name of the contractors on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brenda.
Do you want to write these?
Yeah.
How are we doing it? Contractor, okay.
Yeah. Merits.
Not how much you can tell, it's just how far it's leaning. Well, you know, basically how far it's leaning.
The first bid looks like it's from Merit and Merit Trucking and Auto Repair. I'm not seeing an actual amount yet. I'll find it eventually. Well, it has this insurance in here, equal opportunity employer, notice, backfilled material. Equipment they're providing. I don't see an amount. It's everything but an amount. Let's,
Is it-
did I get everything? Here, let's see if
Is
there's
there-
anything else in there.
No.
Oh, this hopefully is it. Ah, here we go. $18,500, including labor, materials, hauling of the debris, use of equipment, backhoe, grading, seed, and straw. 18.5. The next one is from Wade Ames. Also $18,500.
I'm sorry, to issue it for?
Wade
Wade.
Ames.
And the first one was from Merritt?
Yes, Merritt. The next one is Cottle Services from Rochester, Indiana. The bid is for $17,320.
320?
17,320.
Can you spell that contractor?
Cottle, C-A-U-D-I-L-L Services.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And the last one is from B&G Hall Enterprise for $14,500.
$13,500.
$14,500.
Are those all the bids then?
That's all.
And in the bid specs, I don't know, Brenda or Jerry, as far as like the straw and all that, was that all in the bid specs? So they should all be the same?
Procedure there.
Okay.
I do have a copy of the bid specs if you'd like to look at them.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind
They're
taking a
right
look.
here.
Pass those up there.
Thank you.
We got them.
I think they're in the agenda too.
I thought they were in the agenda.
They were.
Good.
My handwriting's terrible.
You do good work.
I think you did good.
Do you have any comment or concern or anything for building department? Anything?
We're good.
Okay. While we're reviewing some of the documents here, do I have any comment from the public? Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I believe our goal is to send out the notice to raise with the amount of what the demo cost will be plus our admin fees tomorrow, which would put the demo date on March 12th.
Gotcha.
10 days, I think.
Okay.
We have to sit down over to raise it.
We have to send out notice to the owners and what that demo amount costs for the lien?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Do we have any question from the board? Did you have any questions?
Yeah. In the past, were we going with the lowest bid? Is that how this is working? Because in the past, we have had some issues with Hall for dust control, safety.
Right.
Is that something that we consider, or we just go with the lowest number?
I don't know what precautions we can take to make sure that the contractor fulfills it up to bid specs.
As you well know, and it's fairly public knowledge, the ongoing issues that we have with this particular property. I fully intend to be out there from start to finish for this thing as my schedule allows. If not, I'm going to try to have a code enforcement officer out there with the criteria in his hand and also the requirements under the specifications for the bid. And I do intend to have a conference with Mr. Hall prior if he is indeed worth this. Other than that, the oversight on that falls squarely with me.
Yeah, I believe, and please, Counselor, if I'm wrong, correct me and jump in any time, that if we feel like a bidder is an irresponsible bidder, we can not accept their bid and just take of the remaining bids. So, I know there has been some issues before. I don't know, would it be enough to, for me personally, I don't know if it'd be enough to disqualify them, but there's been some issues.
Yeah, it's just a concern of mine. I mean, safety, obviously, and disobeying the actual rules that were in place prior, was told to do it, didn't do it.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, we did address those issues. I think I know the one that Mr. Anderson is referring to specifically. I did address that personally with Mr. Hall at that time. He did rectify all the problems at that time. It was a little bit before my time here, but he did respond. Like immediately, as in the next day, once he was notified about the issues that I had at that time. And he has made efforts to, comply with other things as far as bidding and requested bid. So.
And I think the time that you're talking about was when, what was it, 63 came down and.
Yeah, just lack of dust control. I mean,
dust control was pretty lacking.
Well, yeah, there's another issue that I had besides that with follow through on some things that he just kind of never quite got around to that he should have.
Right.
But we did take care of that. And, I tell you in all candor, he was very apologetic about it. So.
You feel like he made an honest and,
Yes, he did.
and effort to rectify it?
I mean, the next day he met with me, the day or two after that, he took care of the problem. So,
Gotcha.
You can't ask for much more than that.
He is the lowest bid by just under 3,000, at 14,500, I believe, right?
obviously, if we can save money and he's going to abide by the rules, why wouldn't we? I mean.
Yeah, and as long as we're making sure to hold his feet to the fire on making sure to follow the bid specs to the T on that. I know that there's some concern with adjacent neighbors that are very close, so. Are we comfortable with that then?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there any other comment from the public? Any other questions from the board? Do I have a motion to accept B&G's bid for $14,500 for the demolition?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Okay, I think that's all we have, unless there's anything anyone needs to bring before the board.
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Thank you for recognizing me. My name is Jeff Childers. I'm Vice President of the Hard Chargers Law Enforcement Motorcycle Club, Indiana chapter. The club is looking to sponsor an event July 28th of this year that would benefit the Mining Correctional Facility Employee Appreciation Fund. We're requesting use of the amphitheater in Conoco Park, and we're requesting to waive the fees associated with that, including utility fees, and we want to set up a couple of different concession stands there, waiving in the fee that may relate to that.
Yeah, and the amphitheater, the fee schedule and everything for that is been brand new. There was some discussion from the Parks Board about the fee schedule there, and I believe that the fee that they, I don't know that it was actually finally decided upon, but the fee that they were looking at was, I don't know if Brenda or if you remember, but I think it was $120 a day. Okay. I believe that's from what I had looked into. It was for a day event at the amphitheater. They were looking at charging $120. So we are taking on Parks Board business right now. So that would be something we could discuss. And like I said, they didn't finalize that fee. The utilities part of that, we had the only folks who I think we've had set up concessions there, 4th of July, and I believe there was another benefit that.
Yeah, 2 other benefits. They had food vendors. Isn't there something in place now you have to have a food permit now?
Sure.
Is that something? In the past, there hasn't been that, but I think, didn't you, Brenda, you say there's now a food permit?
Not through us.
It's not through you?
Correct.
Yeah, it's to the health department.
Okay.
That would be a Mining County permit, I believe,
Mhm.
that, and we would get a recognized concession vendor that would do that. And we're not looking at having any alcohol or anything, it would be strictly food and soft drinks, things like that nature.
I know for this, and I don't recall what the agreement was with the benefit we had for Olson. Or
I think that they waived those fees because of what it was for.
right. I know for the 4th of July, the city has charged concessioners $300 for the hookup on utilities. That's what we've been charging concessioners for our 4th of July. That covers our costs as far as electricity and any sewage costs, whatnot, and the concessionaires will be making money. And so typically they're pretty happy with that amount. Most fairs charge a lot more if you're looking at a fair hookup. So with that being said, we do have the latitude to waive a fee if we feel that it's necessary. So
Where do all the proceeds go?
The Miami Correctional Facility Employee Appreciation Fund, every one week in May every year, the facility has, basically as the name entails, appreciation events for the employees, games, and some of the proceeds of the fund go towards prizes for those games. It includes meals for all the employees. And then in June of every year, they have a family fun day. They have bounce houses for kids and pony rides and dunk tanks. And then they treat all the employees and their families to meals. It's just a way of giving back a little bit to the employees for a real high-stress job.
And would you guys be taking care of all cleanup, everything, like leave it the way you found it, or?
Absolutely, yes. Also, we're looking at, we haven't made contact with concessionaires yet. An event that we did last year, the one concession stand that we used kicked back part of their money into our fund as well. And they gave us like 5, or it might have been 10% of the proceeds went to the fund that we were sponsoring at that time last year. We're also looking at potentially making this an inaugural event that will turn into an annual event.
One thing to keep in mind too, I say for the board, we do have another request for the amphitheater that I know it's from a Calvary Temple Church. They're wanting to use the facility for maybe 4 days, and they're also asking if the fees can be waived. So we'll also have to think about precedent. We have, like I said, Calvary Temple Church in June, late in June, is looking to get it for 4 days. So.
Okay, well, honestly, park stuff is new for me since we are just now doing it, so I'm not sure what the implications are of waiving fees or not waiving fees. What's been typical for things like this before?
So for the Parks Board, they would regularly waive fees for nonprofits that to basically as a donation to a nonprofit from the parks. There was discussion on the board in the past about how much it was being done, whether it should be curbed or they should adopt rules about who they do it for and who they don't. But I know that it wasn't something that was ever resolved.
Is there a difference in waiving a fee if someone's a 501c3 or a private organization or anything like that that you know of?
It depends on the context. Now, for actual rental of the city property, which would it be? I mean, I think there needs to be some standard guidelines that we could create. I think it'd be up to us to regulate our own property, so far as we do not discriminate someone else. So,
Yeah.
when we start waiving fees for one, why do we waive it for one and not the others? One thing we'll have to think about in the future, but
Right.
if we just want to say any non-for-profit, then that'd be fine, but we have to do it across the board in that case.
Yeah. And I think we do have the potential here. Like I said, we have a church organization asking for 4 days too. And I don't know how far it will go with the different organizations. I know that there's been a lot of talk about we want to be able to monetize the amphitheater for the city, and that'd be something that raises money and puts money back into the park system. So.
Does it cost the city to waive fees for things like this?
The amphitheater's a little unique. Most pavilions have some electricity that goes to them. Is that correct, Brenda? Yeah, and so there's some nominal electric being paid by the city whenever somebody rents those and uses it. Amphitheater is a little bit different because the amount of lights and the amount of electricity typically used, for a sound system and stuff like that's going to be larger. The concession stands, their hookups, are significantly larger amount of a bill for the city. Now, that being said, I could not tell you real numbers because I've never really seen the real numbers, but just judging by the equipment that is in a concession trailer, that's going to be something that's going to be larger than, a family having a reunion at a pavilion. So,
I'm not comfortable with waiving the fees for the vendors. For the nonprofit itself, I think that would be something I would definitely consider. But if somebody's going to come in and make money off of the power and water we provide, and the city gain nothing off of it, I don't see that makes any sense.
Well, and especially if we broke even on it, that's one thing, or if we could write it off, that's one thing, but if it's at a cost to the city, that doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah. And in the vendor fees, it would be a thing that wouldn't really necessarily take away from your event. They're making money. So if they're making money, I would feel that they would accept that fee. But far as the nonprofit, for example, the church or your organization or whatever, I think that there's some room to work because there really isn't a big fee on the city's part for that. Because if you're not hooking up vendor trucks, you're not really using much electricity except for a few lights. So that's kind of my thoughts on that.
yeah. I think that makes sense too, with the concession hookup, that we should have a fee that covers that so that we're not, like Steve said, they have a potential to make money there and we should be covered for our expenses.
And that'll offset the little bit of cost for the nonprofit part of it as well.
Right. And I'm sorry, what was the date again you were looking for?
July 28th.
July 28th?
Do we have a list of anything else that's on there? I mean, is that?
As far as I know, we have this request from Calvary Temple, and I wanted to get a feel from the board, how we felt about the waiver of the fees for nonprofits before tackling that. And then we had this, so I figured this would be a good time to talk about it.
Yeah, thanks for bearing with us.
Yes.
Part of that is fully new for us.
Yeah. So, I know that in the past, the Parks Board has been pretty generous, I would say, with waiving fees for nonprofits. So I think that there is that precedent.
I mean, until we get something in writing, we can kind of base it on what we've done in the past until we get something set in stone. I mean, because I don't know if there's actually true numbers out there, just, talk about numbers.
Yeah. How would the board feel about tabling this and asking, the city attorney and some other folks about a concrete policy before we decide on this?
I would feel much more comfortable with that.
No.
And since you're not till July, we have a little wiggle room.
And that's fine for your purposes, 2 weeks, come back and revisit this?
2 weeks will be fine. We'd like to lock in the venue so that we can start doing some promotion.
Sure.
I'll need to get your contact information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so I don't know if we need a motion to table it.
It's not even on the agenda, so.
Right.
Just open discussion.
Okay. All right. Well, we will put you on the agenda for next week, and I appreciate you coming and bearing with us.
Thank you for your time.
Is there anything else to come before the board? All right. Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, folks. We got cookies and punch, too.